All right, so buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into the world of North Korea's covert ops. Yeah, we're talking about the kind of stuff that makes spy thrillers look like, well, child's play.
And the really crazy thing is this isn't some Tom Clancy novel. This is real life, real events with global consequences.
Absolutely, and we've got this script, actually. It seems like someone was putting together a YouTube video, but it's less about flashy graphics and more about pulling back the curtain on some of the most impactful and, frankly, disturbing moments in North Korea's history.
Moments that highlight a pattern of ruthlessness and calculated violence that frankly sends chills down my spine.
Right. Okay, so let's kick things off with a story that'll make you think twice about international travel. Imagine this. Kuala Lumpur International Airport, 2017. Kim Jong-nam, older half-brother of Kim Jong-un, strolling through, probably headed for the departure lounge, right? Just another day at the airport. Or so you'd think.
Until, bam, two women appear seemingly out of nowhere.
And they casually walk up to him and spray him with, wait for it, VX nerve agent.
One of the deadliest chemical weapons ever created.
I mean, talk about brazen, right? He was dead within hours.
What's truly baffling is trying to unravel the motive behind such a public and frankly reckless act.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the son of a former dictator, someone who could have posed a threat.
He was a vocal critic of the regime, had chosen a life of self-imposed exile rather than towing the family line.
But he'd been living abroad for years.
Yeah.
Right? Not exactly challenging for power.
Precisely, which makes the motive even murkier. Was it about eliminating a potential rival? Sending a message of fear?
Or maybe a little both. It's like a warning shot, wouldn't you say? Don't mess with us no matter who you are or where you go.
Exactly, a brutal reminder that no dissent, no matter how far removed, will be tolerated.
Chilling stuff. But here's the thing, the Kuala Lumpur assassination, as shocking as it wasn't an isolated incident.
Oh, absolutely not. It was just one piece in a much larger, much more intricate puzzle of covert operations stretching back decades.
Okay, so let's rewind the clock a bit, back to 1968. The Cold War's in full swing. Tensions between North and South Korea are running hotter than ever.
And then North Korea attempts something so audacious, so unbelievably daring, it could have rewritten history.
They send a team of 31 commandos, highly trained, I'm talking elite special forces, on a mission to infiltrate Seoul, the heart of South Korea. Their objective: take out the South Korean president. Can you imagine?
These weren't just random soldiers. These were the best of the best, handpicked and trained for this one specific mission to eliminate their enemy's leader.
And get this, they almost pulled it off. They were practically on the doorstep of the Blue House, the presidential residence, before they were discovered.
Can you imagine the level of planning, the secrecy involved in getting that close? It's both impressive and utterly terrifying.
Right. I mean, the raid ultimately failed, turned into a whole firefight, lots of casualties. But still, talk about a statement. They were willing to risk everything, even an all-out war, to achieve their goals.
It showed a level of aggression, a willingness to use extreme measures to destabilize their rivals that really set the tone for decades to come.
And their ambitions weren't confined to their little corner of the world. This pattern, this desire to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies, well, it reared its ugly head again a few years later.
And this time, they took it international.
You're talking about the Rangoon bombing in 1983, right? When they tried to assassinate the South Korean president again. Except this time, he was on a state visit to Burma, thousands of miles from home.
Exactly. It was a meticulously planned attack. North Korean agents planting a bomb at a site they knew the president would be visiting.
The explosion ripped through the area, killing 21 people, high-ranking officials, diplomats, journalists. Just awful. The president, he survived, but it was a close call. And I think it really drove home the point that North Korea's reach was far greater than anyone had imagined.
They were willing to operate in the shadows, striking at the heart of their enemies, no matter where they were in the world.
And often with little regard for innocent lives caught in the crossfire.
Right, that's the truly chilling part. In their pursuit of these objectives, innocent bystanders, ordinary people, often become acceptable losses.
Yeah, a stark and tragic reminder of the human cost of these covert operations. But it wasn't just government officials in their crosshairs. In 1987, they took their tactics to a whole other level with the bombing of Korean Air Flight 858. 115 people on board, families, business travelers, all just gone, vanished without a trace over the Andaman Sea.
A tragedy that initially baffled investigators.
At first, it was all speculation. Mechanical failure, maybe even pilot error, who knew? But then the truth emerged, and it was far more sinister.
The wreckage told a story of a bomb, a carefully planted device, and all evidence pointed back to North Korea.
And this wasn't just about sowing chaos, it was about sending a message on a global stage, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And the timing of this attack, well, that was no coincidence. You see, the world was about to turn its attention to Seoul because 1988 was the year of the Seoul Olympics. North Korea saw this as a prime opportunity, a chance to not only strike at their rival, but to disrupt this global event, this symbol of a unified Korea.
So they were willing to blow up a plane full of innocent people just to make a political point.
It was a calculated act of terror intended to send shockwaves through the international community.
I mean, think about it. If they could pull this off, who's to say they wouldn't try something even more drastic during the games themselves?
Exactly. It was about sowing fear and uncertainty, deterring athletes and spectators from attending, dealing a major blow to South Korea's image on the world stage.
So cynical, so manipulative. But sadly, it seems like this kind of cold, calculating strategy is part of their playbook.
And there are hints, even in more recent years, of similar incidents, events shrouded in mystery that bear the hallmarks of North Korea's covert operations.
You're talking about the death of Kim Jong-nam's nephew, right? That whole thing felt like something out of a spy film, honestly.
Right. A young man suddenly falls ill in an airport, this time in Malaysia, dies within hours.
And the cause. VX nerve agent. Again, almost like a calling card, wouldn't you say?
While North Korea denied any involvement, the similarities to the Kim Jong-nam case were impossible to ignore.
So another family member, another potential rival, silenced. It's a chilling thought.
It's impossible to know for sure what went down, but it's a stark reminder that even within the regime, even within the family, loyalty guarantees nothing.
And it's not just high-profile assassinations, right? What about that South Korean diplomat, the one who disappeared in Russia a few years back? No trace, no explanation.
That case remains unsolved, but some intelligence officials believe North Korea might have been involved.
You mean they abducted him? But why? What could they possibly gain from that?
It's all speculation, of course, but it highlights the fact that their reach extends far beyond their borders.
And that they're not afraid to target individuals, even those who might seem like small fish, if it serves their interests.
Exactly. We're talking about a vast and shadowy network operating with a level of secrecy and ruthlessness that's hard to comprehend.
It's like we've stumbled into a whole new chapter of the Cold War, only this time the battle lines are blurred, the enemy's harder to define.
And the methods they're evolving too. We've talked about traditional espionage, assassinations, bombings, but in recent years, North Korea has added a new weapon to their arsenal.
Cyber warfare, right. I'll admit, I always thought of that as a separate issue, something tech companies and governments worry about.
It's all connected. Think about it. Instead of sending agents across borders, they can infiltrate systems, steal secrets, disrupt infrastructure, all with a few keystrokes.
And it's not just governments they target, right? We've seen them go after banks, corporations, even individuals.
Exactly. And as technology becomes more sophisticated, so too do their methods. It's a constant game of cat and mouse.
So what does that mean for us, for everyday people? Should we be worried?
Awareness is key. We can't afford to be naive about the threats, both physical and digital.
So it's not just about bombs and bullets anymore, it's about bits and bytes too.
Exactly. And the scary part is it's getting harder and harder to pinpoint who's behind these attacks.
Right, like you were saying before, it could be North Korea or it could be some other country trying to make them look bad.
It's a real challenge for intelligence agencies because attributing these cyber attacks, it's like trying to find a needle in a digital haystack.
So how do we even begin to defend against something like that? It feels like we're easy targets.
Well, it all starts with understanding the threat.
Okay, so educate us. What can we do?
For starters, be smart about your online presence.
You mean like strong passwords, don't click on suspicious links, that kind of thing?
Exactly. And be wary of what information you share online. Not everything needs to be public knowledge.
Good point.
And be skeptical. Just because you read something online doesn't make it true. Double-check your sources, look for credible information.
It's like we need to develop a whole new set of instincts for this digital age.
Absolutely. Critical thinking is essential.
It's wild, isn't it? We started this deep dive talking about spies and assassins, and now it feels like we're living in some kind of cyberpunk thriller.
In a way, we are. But the good news is, knowledge is power.
Right. The more we know about these threats, the better prepared we'll be to face them.
And remember, this isn't just about protecting ourselves, it's about protecting our democracies, too.
Because information is power, and those who control it can control the narrative.
Precisely. So stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay curious.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. We've journeyed from the shadowy back alleys of Cold War espionage to the front lines of modern cyber warfare. And along the way, we've uncovered the chilling realities of North Korea's covert operations. It's a world of secrets, of calculated violence, and of a relentless pursuit of power, no matter the cost. But, as we've learned today, the best defense against the shadows is to shine a light on them. So thank you for joining us, and until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe.